Hello and welcome to the channel. On this channel, we talk about working, studying, and living here in the UK. If you're interested in topics like this, join the community by subscribing to this channel and following my Pathway UK on Facebook and on Instagram for more information about studying, working, and living here in the UK. In today's video, we would be talking about how to study in the US for free. Yes, you heard me. I know you guys like freebies. So in today's video, we're talking about how to study in the US for free. I will allow our special guest introduce herself and then she would go on to tell us how she studied in the US for free. Yes, you had me. For free. She didn't pay a dime. So take the stage. Take the center
Okay,
stage.
alrighty, okay. So, hello everybody. My name is Esther. You can call me Shiju, and I have a YouTube channel as well called Shiju's Criticals, and I talk about how to study in the US. And I guess today I'm here to share my story of how I got to study in the US for free without paying anything, or maybe except for some fees, visa and stuff like that. But in relation to my education, I had my tuition and fees fully covered, and I had a stipend, and I had like housing and meals covered as well. So yeah, I'll be sharing that today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what university did you attend?
So I attended Kent State University in the US, in Ohio. Kent State University in Ohio. I know there's like a University of Kent in UK, so not that one. I studied in
Yes,
the
University of Kent in the UK.
yeah
Wow,
Kent State
that's good. University of
University.
Kent in the UK. So what course did you study?
I studied higher education administration and student affairs. So it was like focused on education, but higher education administration, and then working with college students. So that was like the main focal point of my course. And I also pursued a certificate in international higher education.
Oh wow, that's nice. That's nice. So why did you choose that course of study? Because I know you are a Nigerian, and for those of you who don't know, we actually went to the same university for our first degree.
Yeah.
So she's a Nigerian, and that kind of course is odd for Nigerians, to be very honest. So in
True.
Nigeria, we either do nursing, engineering, medicine, you know, all
Okay.
these like laid out professional courses, like
Yeah.
just that professional course. That's what we do. So, what interested you in doing that kind of course, and how did you come across it?
Okay. So actually, like when I was in undergrad, that was back in Ife. I studied English education. So I already had a background in education. And then in my final year, I did a particular course because in education, which it was international education, I think it was international comparative something education, but it has something to do with international education, it was comparative education. So ever since then, I was very interested. I don't know if it was my third or final, I can't really remember. But ever since then, like, I had an in that course. I was also very interested in just kind of examining educational systems, specifically higher educational systems of like various countries. And
Yeah.
I really wanted to kind of study international education because I thought that was like the course or the program that could afford me explore, and compare educational systems across countries and things like that. So I started after graduating, I stayed at home for a while, waiting for like this National Youth Service Corps and everything.
Anyways,
Yeah,
that was
anyway,
just a waste of time.
right. So he also wasted us. So they didn't waste us, they wasted our time.
I think you stay 1 year after you save. Before you
Yeah,
save, you stay 1 year.
yeah, I stayed
I
at home
think
for
it was
1 year.
just
I
a
was
waste, it was
teaching
just a waste
during
of
that time. But
space.
it's fine, all those are stories of the past now.
Uh-huh.
Um, so during that time, I kind of started doing a little bit of research to kind of figure, and I was really interested in international education, and I wanted my focus to be on higher education. And after I started my search, I discovered that I think the first school I looked at was University of Massachusetts Amherst. The first school, not the first school I looked at, but the first school that struck like that sparked an interest, that I really liked. And then I went to their College of Education and everything. I started looking at like their programs. They also had like international education. Um, so I was going to apply for that, but then again, I looked at other programs, and I now saw higher educate that they had an higher education program, and I looked at the description of the program, and I was like, oh, like I want to compare the higher education systems of various countries. That's what my research would be on, but This program is actually, it looks like it actually aligns more with what I'm
What
interested.
you're interested in.
Exactly, yeah. And then I started reading through it, and I was like, oh, like this checks my box. And even like I'm able to take like international like education courses or comparative education courses as needed. Um, if that's, I also want to take more courses. So that's how I kind of, how do I put it? That course sparked my interest, and I looked into it. And then I also realized that like even a lot of schools also offer the opportunity of you like, getting experience while you work. So probably either through like maybe an internship experience or like an assistantship and things like that. In that program, a lot of them encourage you gaining experience because you're going to be working a lot with college students. That's why some schools have like this student affairs focus. They you have to gain experience while you're studying so that you be competitive when you're out there, maybe job searching and all. So
Yeah.
like, oh, this is going to work perfectly for me, and that's how I
Came
decided
across
to.
the course and the university.
Yes.
Wow. That's
So,
like interesting. So the thing is, you know what they used to say is in the place of your service, what you're looking for will find you.
yeah.
So I think when you were like trying to see what aligns with what you really like and
Hmm.
you got what like you wanted
Yeah.
and course of study you want because you already had interest in, it's not like you just stumbled on it or it just happened.
Mm-mm.
Like you
No.
were literally searching for that.
Searching. Really,
Yeah.
really
So
searching.
moving on. So how was the application process like? How did you get them to fund your tuition? Because I know you didn't pay tuition fee and then they paid you
Yeah.
stipend.
Yeah.
And which is rare because in the UK you can only get that for a PhD where you would literally study for free and then they pay you a stipend. So how did you go about it and how was the application process? So I think my question is too much now. So let me just speak up first.
Okay. Which one should I start with?
Did you pay application fee?
Okay. So I'm going to, because I applied to a couple of schools. I literally applied to like different schools.
How many schools did you apply to?
See, I don't even know the exact number, but
You
I know
lost.
some of the names. I applied to like Kent State University, I applied to Illinois State University, I applied to Central Michigan University, I applied to Rowan University. I applied to one more or two more. I think I got about like six admission offers or seven. I can't remember. I'm
Wow.
not sure. Like, yeah. But so let me just talk about how the admission process was like, and I will talk
Did you
about
pay
maybe
application fee for any of this university?
I paid for some and some I did not pay. And that's why I was like, maybe I'll just kind of explain briefly of how I went about it. So in the US, a lot of schools require you to pay application fee. Like, of course, there are some schools that might have free application fee, but it can be rare, especially if you want some competitive schools, you have to pay application fees. So when I started searching, one thing I took note of, like on my documents, it was on a book. I used one exercise book like that to take notes. I didn't use spreadsheets then when I first started.
I think
So
when I was doing my to kind
yeah,
of determine what course of study to choose,
yeah,
I did like a spreadsheet, like
mhm,
a table. I think I have a video on my channel where I did that. I'll link it
yeah,
somewhere.
table.
So
Yeah.
if you want to know how to, if you can use barrier and paper to do it, but I mean, it's just is it doing like a
It's
spreadsheet
easier. Yeah.
figuring out which will work for you.
I agree because I ultimately like moved to like a spreadsheet later on. But like I started my search with like a book and paper. I would write everything down. After a while, it was becoming too much. I had to flip through so many pages. I was like, you know what? Let's go on this spreadsheet and do
Yeah,
this. So like the way my admission process worked was that I knew what I would say, like I personally knew some of the things I wanted. I knew from the start that I didn't want to spend money on evaluating my transcript. I could spend money to send my official transcript to them. I was ready to pay that, but I was not ready to pay for West, like this WES evaluation, especially recognizing the type of school I went to, that they take forever to send transcripts. I knew I didn't want to wait for like so many months waiting for my transcript to be sent. I knew I did not want to write graduate record examination. I knew I did not want to write any English proficiency test.
wow, there were
So
a lot of things you want to do.
yes, I basically was not ready to spend too much money on
Much
the
money.
process,
Yo, yeah.
and doing that would require me to spend a lot of money. So I started my search by looking for schools that do not require any of those. So schools that accepted unofficial transcripts, or they require official transcript and don't require my transcript to be evaluated. I sent my transcript to two schools, my official transcript to two schools. And one thing I ensured was that those transcripts could be sent electronically. So some schools allow your official transcript to be sent electronically, and they don't require you to evaluate it. So that was one of the things I did. I just kind of I did my search and I identified those schools. That way, I could easily get everything done at once. Go to OAU, beg them, because I literally had to go and beg somebody to get my transcript sent on time. But yeah, so I look, a lot of schools I also applied to, they allowed me to upload my unofficial transcript for the purposes of admission. So in order to get admission, I could just upload my transcript and I was good to go. And there was one of Kent State, they have this application free week. I think it's in October, I can't remember, where if you apply during that week, you get to apply for free. But if you apply outside of that week, you have to pay to apply. Another
Just
school.
to encourage more application during that time.
Yes, yes. And early, so that I can even submit the application early as well. So I think that was like some things I took note of. That's why I said, like, I really took my time. I sat down, I researched. Literally, the how I started my search was crazy, because I found this list online of like SEFP, they call it like SEFP certified schools that are eligible to enroll international students in the US. And then I started looking at these schools from anyone that had the university in the name. Because they have some community colleges and things like that. I'll look
Yeah.
at it, I'll search for the schools. I'll be like, oh, do they have higher education or do they have international education? Like I look at that. That was after I'd kind of found like UMass Amherst, and then I started weeding out schools that way. It took me a long time, but then again, I started my process early enough to be able to do all these things. But at the same time, like it was also time wasting, because I did not need to do that. I could have just easily gone on Google and be like, schools that, or higher
Yeah.
education. I don't want to miss
I
out
mean,
on any school.
information is power. What you
Ex-
don't know, you don't know. But thank
Exactly.
you know now.
Now I know that, but then my mindset was like, I don't want to miss any school that would offer me the opportunity of this blah blah blah. Plus, like I also my GPA, I also kind of looked at schools that were kind of friendly, because at first my mindset then was like, oh, you need to have a first class in order to get funding or whatever and things like that and all. But at the same time, I also wanted schools that were friendly, like, because I didn't have a first class, I graduated with a 2-1, so I wanted schools that were also friendly in that aspect. But I later realized that that did not matter, and that was when I put in my GPA through this, they call it West. So like this West CGPA calculator, where you can change your GPA from a 5-point scale to a 4-point scale to know what your actual GPA is. And I think that really helped me, and it kind of reset my mindset. So I think that was how. Let me now just backtrack to kind of touch on the main admission requirements. So for the admission requirements, to study in the US, I had to submit a personal statement. And some of the schools had prompts for the personal statements, like certain prompts that they wanted me to respond to, like why this university, what would this program do for you, how will you like what will I contribute to the program, and as well as I think one school wanted me to write like a diversity statement as well, but basically a personal statement, so that you also talk about your career goals, your professional goals, your research goals and things like that. Some of the schools did not have prompts, but they just had like what's it called, requirements. I'm trying to look for the word, like formatting requirements that you have to follow, like double space, Times New Romans and everything. So I took note of those, and every school I looked at, I would pen it, like I'll write it down and be like, okay, there's an essay prompt, and there's this like formatting, essay formatting requirement that I needed to follow. Some were like no more than 3 pages. So that was for personal statements. Another is a transcript. Like I said, I was looking for schools that did not require me to evaluate my transcript. So I had to like either upload my transcript or send my official transcript directly to them. Then number three is what's it called, like English proficiency requirements. So a lot of schools waive English proficiency requirements if you're from Nigeria, or if you're like, if English is the official language of your country. So those were schools I applied to, and I did not need to provide any English proficiency requirements. And then another is what's called like application fee. And with the application fee, I paid probably one of the application fee I paid was like $50 or something. Another was like $75, and I paid like I think application fee to like three different schools, and they were all very like they varied. GRE as well. Some schools, some programs require you to like um
Right, GRE or GMAT.
Yes, GRE or GMAT, but I did not want to do none of that. So I I looked for schools that did not require that. But also that kind of limited some me in a bit because there were some schools I really wanted to apply to, but they were requiring that and I could not apply to those schools. So just some general admission requirements to take note of there. And some schools may require, depending on your program, they may require you to like submit a portfolio, a writing statement or things like that. And for my program, another thing is interview. So after you upload all those requirements, like uh, all those admission requirements, you might be
So
required.
sorry to interrupt you. What document did you upload?
Did I
So
upload
yes, for your admission.
for my admission? Or like my transcripts, um, personal statements. I had to upload one of the school. I had to upload my passport as proof of like me being in Nigeria.
Identity.
Yeah, and then
Identity and nationality.
yes, identity and nationality, and so that they could also waive TOEFL. So that was my English proficiency proof. Do you get? So my passport was that. Another is
Did you put your university
certificate.
certificate?
Yes, one school did not require that, but I think three of the schools I applied to required me to upload their certificate. So those are the general and pay my application fee.
Did you put your CV?
Oh yes, how did I forget very that important aspect, resume. So resume, yes, I uploaded my resume. I had to put in my experiences, my education experience, and on my resume, of course, you don't want to put any personal identifying information. They don't need to know your age. They don't need to know your gender or any of those information. Just put your education, your experiences, relevant experiences, any qualifications or skills that stand out. Those are things that should go on your resume, and my resume was like 2 pages long. For some, I guess, field, it also depends on the field. So I think it's very important for you to kind of know your field, know the type of resume that works in that field. Some they just need a page longer, you're good to go. But I wanted to put in as much as I could, as much information as I could, so that I could stand out, especially since I was going to seek assistantships, right? So I wanted to stand. I wanted it to be like, oh, this girl has a lot of experiences and things that she can contribute. So I literally just packed everything I did from my education to volunteering experience when I was in school. Even things that you think would do not matter that you do somewhere, like I literally put it there. Even my NYC experience as well on that resume, just to
So
make it
NYC came
packed.
handy at last.
Yes, it came handy at last. And I celebrated my NYC job. I put that under professional experience. So I taught in a private school. Put another professional experience on my CDS group. I put it under service experience, like leadership and service experience. So it came in handy. I was even able to add like this aspect when I was serving. I don't know if that applied to you. When I was serving, we had to do this election related things. So
I
I
didn't do that.
you didn't do that. So that's you're lucky. You're lucky. I submitted to this school that I applied to. I submitted two references, two or three. I'm not very sure, but I submitted either two or three references, and I reached out to my two of my professors in OAU, and also one. I asked for one professional reference from somebody that I was working with, and they provided me with a reference. So the way it worked was that all I needed to do was put in their emails.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah,
send it to them.
yeah, and they
Yeah,
send it to them. So I didn't have anything to do with that. Although there was one school that was like, "Oh, upload the reference." I'm like, "Really? You trust me that much?" Yeah, but it wasn't difficult to do. So yes, I uploaded reference. The reference is another application material that is very important that you would need. And even with my assistantship, I had to provide references as well. And apparently sometimes they call these references. That's if they are within the US though, like they call them and make phone calls to them. Because my friend who was in the US, they literally called our reference. I was like, oh, we're calling about this person. I'm like, wow, really?
yeah, they actually did check.
Yes. So yes, very important references.
How did you get your university admission? The one that gave you the assistantship. How did you go about that?
Okay. All right. So specific to this institution, well, I already talked about the what I submitted. So the application materials applies to that institution. So just not to repeat that aspect. But one thing that was extra, but which was not like that for some other schools, was the interview process. So after I submitted all the materials, they reviewed it. I got invited for an interview, and this was where the program I think, well, I forgot the title, like the title. I don't want to say
Program director or
yeah,
lead
but it wasn't the program director, but I can't. But he's a
coordinator.
professor. Yeah, but I think maybe not the department chair. I can't really remember. But let's just say the coordinator, the admissions. Basically, he reached out to me. It was is one of the professors in the department to set up an interview. So I decided, like I responded, picked the time and everything, sent in my Skype information and all because we used Skype then. And I ensured that I was well dressed. I looked for a nice background. I, tried to ensure that my network was good then, but also I kind of communicated beforehand, recognizing that I was in Nigeria. Anything could happen at any time. I didn't have control over light. I did so just let them know that like this is whatever. So I just emailed just to kind of make that communication beforehand, and they were very understanding. So that was one good part as well. So on that day, they asked me some questions related to like my college experience, what I did in undergrad, my what courses I like the most, what courses I did not really like, my experience, what do I have to offer, what do I bring to the table, what makes me stand out as a candidate, like why did I apply to that program. So some of the things that I kind of already addressed in my personal statement, they still kind of ask those questions as well.
Just
um
to reaffirm them.
Yes, just to reaffirm them, and also like just some other questions about me personally as well. Just I guess know who I am as a
Just to get
person.
to know you too.
Exactly. So it was a formal interview, but it kind of felt a bit informal because it was conversational. I kind of also relaxed a bit. And I know I remember at some point I made a joke. I was like, yeah, I feel so relaxed now. And I was a bit tense at the beginning, but now I feel relaxed. And yeah, so the person I interviewed with to kind of played a part in that. I guess they made me
Making you
feel,
feel comfortable.
yeah, comfortable. So, and that's one thing. Of course, feel comfortable in an interview, but don't feel too comfortable to the extent that you say things that will hurt you.
Like,
So,
yeah,
because that's another trick that some interviewers use. They make you feel so
feel so
comfortable, and you think,
comfortable.
oh yeah, I can literally spill my whole life details. Ensure that you keep it on track. You are like professional to an extent as needed, and just go with the flow. Don't be too tense as well. So yeah, I think that was how I went about it. And then my that particular program, the one I got into, the one I ended up attending, because I got an offer of funding in another institution as well. The one I ended up attending, um they give you, so after the interview, if you scale through, they will give you what they call a conditional admission offer. And why they do this is because they want every student in the program to have an assistantship. And if you don't have an assistantship, you would not be enrolled. So they give you that
Oh,
condition.
really?
Yes. So for my program, the other programs were not like that. That was
Okay,
the only
for your
program
problem.
that was like that. That the assistant, that your admission is contingent on you having an assistantship, and they say they do that because they don't want people to be in debt when they go to school. So if you don't have some sort of funding, it could be like a full scholarship from your home government, because one of my classmates had a full scholarship from their home government or any type, you would not be admitted into the program. Do you get? But other
Oh,
programs in the school were not like that. That was the only program that was like that. Um, so basically I had the admission offer. However, I still had to interview for assistantships. See, this was double part. It was I put in a whole lot of effort. And assistantship, for those who don't know, assistantship is like when you work um in what's it called, like you work basically for the school, and then the school will pay you back either by paying your tuition in full or partial. Every school is so different, so we want to ensure that you check the conditions of your school and even programs as well. But that my specific assistantship that I got, because some people had some assistantships that was not paying everything in full for them. Mine covered everything in full. So assistantship, basically you work for the school for certain number of hours, and then the school will pay you either tuition, stipend. Every school is so different. So that's what they call a graduate assistantship. And there are three types. You have graduate teaching assistantships, those that teach in the class. You have graduate research assistantships, those that do like research work with professors. And then you now have graduate administrative assistantships, those that work in administrative units on campus, like maybe the library or some other offices on campus. So basically, I had to interview for assistantships as well, and they had what they call like interview days. And while I did mine, they did the interview days in person. So it was a bit difficult for me to, I could not come in person, but they were flexible enough to do it online. Funny enough, a year after COVID hit and everything moved online. So I was just like, look at this. There were some sites that said, oh, we're sorry, we can't interview you because you're not able to come in person. And I was like, look at how the tables have turned now. Now you're interviewing everybody online, right? The program would send, so like the program already had my resume, so and everything, that's why I said ensure that whatever you're submitting, you do your due diligence. So they will send your resume to like various sites, and these sites will reach out to you if they are like, oh, we think this person would be a good fit for us to interview. So a couple of sites reached out to me, and then I interviewed for an assistantship, and I interviewed with like the residence life housing department, interviewed with like maybe like a counseling and like a cares. I forgot the name of the office, to be honest. Don't let me say the wrong
Within the
one.
university, right? Different
Yes,
departments within the university.
within the university. So I actually interviewed with one off campus actually, because there were some colleges off campus maybe that didn't have like maybe enough like maybe graduate students or something to work with them, but the campus is close to the university, so they call them like off campus assistantship sites. And I actually,
Oh,
yeah, but because I was an international student, in the US you can't
there was
work on
restriction.
campus. Yeah, because I actually had an offer from one of those sites in another institution, and I could not take that offer because of the restrictions. um, and since it wasn't like a regional campus, it was another institution. So basically, I interviewed, and then that was it.
How was
I
the interview like?
okay. So the interview, one thing we did, right? I mean, when I said that was it, I was not that was done, because there's a lot of other things that were in the background. So because I will just use one as an example, right? So I interviewed with like a housing and residence life
Like the
department.
one you got. I think use the
Oh,
one you got.
I should use the one I got, and that's the one I'm using, like the housing and
Yeah.
residence life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the way it works, is that every office have different requirements, and a lot of times they will already provide you with a job description. So when they provided me with a job description, I researched a lot about what it was about, because it wasn't something that we had in Nigeria. You don't have graduate assistantship for residents. Like you don't have all directors that oversee residence halls. Like you have like porters and things like that. Like, however, I identified some things, and also I reached out to somebody in the program currently, and luckily she happened to be a Nigerian, but she had already schooled here for a long time. So also you reach out to people, utilize resources at your disposal.
Yeah.
Because I didn't
Network.
really know much exactly about it. And so she kind of put me through and was like, okay, this is what I do. This are some things that you would find useful and everything. So I took note of that as well. And I also did my own research and went online. And luckily, there's a lot of information online. There were a lot of information available about like, oh, what graduate all directors do, what assistant all directors do, and things like that. Because that was the position I was interviewing for. And I kind of used relevant experiences. So, for instance, now maybe living in like hostels, you know, um, I pulled from that experience, my classroom experiences, like my volunteering experiences with like in Actors Nigeria. So some of the things I did in school, even in like church as well, that I think might not be relevant. They were things I pulled from. So when they asked me questions about, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? I kind of already prepared a bit of scripts before, and this script I've shared it with a couple of my friends even after now, because it's something that really helped me. I was like, my name is Esther. I try to be as personable as possible, recognizing the type of assistantship I'm applying for, because there were some other assistantship that were marketing and other aspects that I could not like maybe use the same responses for. So they even asked about my leadership experience, tell us how you've worked with students, because that's what my course will be, and that's also what the assistantship will be as well. Like how I've worked with students in a residential setting, and I was open. I was like, while I've not worked as a resident assistant, because they have what they call like resident assistants here, I've worked in this various capacity, and I think this can be transferable in this aspect. I picked some of their position descriptions, and I was like, okay, I took a look at the description. I saw that you talked about this aspect. This was my experience in this aspect. They also kind of talked about maybe how I have worked with students in diverse settings. While diversity to us in Nigeria, yes, it might be a bit different. When they talk about diversity here,
Diversity. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I still brought it into play because there's still so many similarities in terms of like gender, ethnicity.
Culture.
Yeah. So I talked about like our ethnic differences, religion, socioeconomic background. So those were things that I pulled from, because
Yeah. So diversity is not just about race.
exactly, it's not just about race. So just those type of things, and even share my own personal experiences about being being a female, being a woman. So I was able to kind of use those as like leverage. Yes, they were different but the same. Even program plan, they asked me about, okay, so have you coordinated anything, or program planning and stuff. And I was able to use maybe some things I did, because I assisted one of my friends when in, I think, I forgot what they call, is it class fund, like this Christian law, whatever. They were doing one program one time and I assisted, or even just in church being an usher one time and coordinating. So like, all those experiences that you think might actually not be relevant, pull
Yeah.
from it.
Anti
Yeah,
mom, yeah.
yeah. I mean, you don't have to exactly state every single thing and be like, oh, this place, I went to this place. No, like you can just use specific example and be like, there was an event in my fellowship and I used this and that. You just try to use their words. I kind of also studied the language of the field as well. That was one thing I ensured to check out as well. And even I talked about leadership experiences in my department, because I was like the PR, the public relations officer, the PR, yeah, at one point in time, and I use that as leverage as well. So I just talked about all those different things, um, even classes and everything. Even when they ask me like, "Oh, how would you support students academically?" Blah blah blah, and I put, I'm like, okay, this is my experience as a student when I went into school. This is what I used and everything. And I also talked about, while I recognize that the educational system is different, I still feel like there will be some similarities, that these are some things I could pull from. You can always refer students to resources, share any information you have with them. And just basically, the summary of what I'm saying is that just leverage from their experiences, right? Even
Yeah.
professional experiences while I was in NYC volunteering, with our CDS group. Even though I didn't really like that experience. Nonetheless, I learned from it, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was how I kind of did that interview, and I
Yeah.
didn't hear back, to be honest, for like a month. I didn't
Wow.
get back. I didn't know what, if I had gotten that or not. I was just here in limbo, trying to figure out, did I get it? Did I not get it? Did they go with another candidate? Did anything happen? Because so after the interview, they asked you to match. So to rank your site. So what assistantship do you want the most? Basically, they ask you to rank it in order of preference. That's if you interviewed with a lot, which one do you like? And then
How many did you interview with?
I think I just did three
Okay.
at this institution, at the one I attended, but at another one I did two, another one I did five.
Oh
And
wow.
the processes for those ones were also different. So it's not
Yeah.
even the same with this one. I went through, there was
Yeah.
a,
But
yeah,
yeah.
and I had to apply separately, like to those assistantships. So the program was not even the one that sent me their resume. I was the one that just applied separately, and some they just automatically consider you. Like you don't even need to do any interview or anything. Literally, are you interested in an assistantship at the application stage? You tick yes, and they consider you and they'll tell you, oh hi, blah blah blah. This year something something. We are pleased to tell you that you've been offered this, and voila, that's very easy.
So
But
how did these people get back to you? The one you eventually went for?
yeah, so one day I think it was literally maybe a day after my NYC, whatever. I can't remember when, or it was the day of my NYC passing out. I was I came back and then I saw that I'd missed a call, and I listened. I think they left I can't remember. I saw the
Yeah.
number. I knew it was an international number. I think she left the voicemail like, "Oh hi, blah blah blah. Is this? We're just trying to call you to." I can't remember what she said, to be honest, but she didn't tell me that I had the offer. But I kind of figured, I'm like, it's either a rejection or an acceptance. But I'm like, they won't reject me over phone. Maybe they're just trying, I'm like, they would have
So
sent
send you
email.
an email.
Yes. So I was awful. I didn't even wait. I didn't, because she also put the email that I can email them here or whatever. I called back in my Nigeria, even though I literally went to recharge, and I called immediately because I'm like, I've been waiting for this. Plus, I was about to accept another institution. I'm like, I don't want to accept this other institution because their package is
Because
not.
this was your favorite.
Yes, it was my favorite and everything. So I went and I called them, and then they're like, "Hi," I'm like, "Hi," So you're like, we're calling, we blah blah blah, all this preamble that they say about your interview and everything, and outstanding candidate, and would love to extend you an offer of blah blah blah. I'm like, like I'm so happy. And they started with the oh, like, you can take some time to decide if you like to accept. You have until maybe like April 15, or because I think that was like the deadline of like the
Mm.
whole acceptance to know. Schools generally have that deadline, yeah, like that you have to respond by if you are accept or not. The lady speaking to me was like, okay, take some time to decide and everything. Let us know if you accept this offer or not. Right there and then on the spot,
I decided.
I told her, and even though I
Decided.
was like, should I form and call them later, or should I just say I accept? I was like, you know what? I'm not forming. I've been waiting for this for so long. I'm like, I accept.
Yes.
I accept. I would love to come to Kent State and blah blah blah. And she was like, "Oh, really? Awesome!" She was excited on the phone. I was like, "Oh, double excitement!" And then she was like, "We'll send some information to you via email and everything, because they will probably need to do like background check and stuff because of the type of position I was accepting, working with college students." Um, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, send the information my way." And I accepted the position. And then after I accepted, the program sent me um an actual admission.
Unconditional offer.
Yes, unconditional. They sent me an unconditional offer, and yeah, that's how I got the assistantship at the institution that I attended. Because that's what we're focusing on today. Because I don't because every
Yeah.
school for me was kind of a different process, and if I'll literally spend an entire day talking about different
About,
processes in other institutions.
yeah. So the assistantship paid for your tuition fee.
Yeah,
So how
so
much of your tuition fee they paid for?
good question. See, when they pay for your tuition, you don't even know how much you are paying in tuition.
Like, okay, you
But
don't know how much you paid in tuition at all.
No, I'm trying to remember now. So I think my tuition would have been around, because I see in my breakdown, I typically would see like $5,000 for like resident, and non-resident fee will probably be, so basically I'm guessing maybe they paid around $12,000 in form of tuition. I might be wrong, I'm not sure, because I didn't really pay for tuition, so I didn't know the exact tuition rate. And
Mm.
I received the monthly stipend as well, and because of the type of assistantship it was, I had my housing covered. So
Oh,
the department gave me housing on campus, as well as a meal plan. So I had a meal plan as well. So
oh,
basically, I did not. I mean, because of the type of person I was, of course, I was cooking,
yeah.
and all. But I also had a meal plan that I could use. So, and they covered 70% of my health insurance as well. So that was
Oh,
a good thing. So I only had to pay, and I could use my stipend to cover the remaining part of the health insurance. So it wasn't much of an issue. And all I had to pay was $20 international student fee and $10 legal fee. And literally that was all I paid in a year.
did they pay for your visa application fee?
No, they did not. They do not. The only thing it covers, the assistantship would cover, would be your tuition and fees, um, your some states cover health insurance in full, some don't even cover it at all. So then we a stipend, some schools give us high as $16,000 stipend in a year, some $20,000, 24, depending on how much money your department has.
How much
Yeah.
did you get?
I got, how much did I get? Did I get 9,000? I might be wrong. I
For
can't
a
really
year?
remember now. Yes. But then again, the reason that being I had my housing covered, I also had new plans. So I
Yeah,
was
so
not
it was
it-
just
yes, it was just like an upkeep, like just take and use this to just
uh,
buy some menial things. Because if housing is covered, that's a huge sum of money. I
some
don't have to
of
pay for
money. Yeah,
light, I don't have to pay for water, I don't have to pay for
internet, heating,
yes. I did not, basically all I did was come to school, go to
and
class, do your
so that
assistantship
money
work.
was
Mhm.
enough.
It was enough,
So
more than enough for me. So yeah, I think yeah, that was how much it covered. Because I think basically I would say that package was over. Because in my breakdown of my I-20 breakdown and everything, I was supposed to provide proof of funds of like $35,000. All that was covered, so I did not need to provide any proof of
proof of
funds.
funds. Mm.
Yes, I didn't need to provide
I
any
think
proof of
I think
funds.
one of the things people should take out from this conversation is if you want to study abroad, always start early. Remember, she said she
Mm.
started applying in December and then I'm sure you finished your NYSC program around April
Yeah.
or May thereabout, and then you resumed in September. The application process took almost
Yeah.
6 months to 1 year to
Mm-hmm.
apply for visa, apply for the
Yeah.
assistantship, apply for admission. So give it time. So if you are thinking of applying for something like this, I would actually suggest you give it time
Yeah.
and do your research, know what works for you, because you can see that. I think one thing I've seen in your story, one thing that resonates with me in your story of how you studied in the US for free and how you got everything literally paid for, was that you had a passion for one thing and then you carried on with that thing, because same passion you had when you were looking for a course was same passion you found when you were looking for a university. That led to your assistantship and that led to funding. So it was that same thing that came across, and because you had passion for that thing, it was
Yeah.
easy for you to go through the 100 miles of the application
Right.
and things like that. So I think another thing that resonates with me from her story was that she put in the work. Although she didn't want to write GRE and TOEFL, but she had to put in the work for her assistantship. She had to put in the work for interviews. She had to put in the work for personal statements, CVs. She really had to do like the whole work, and she gave it time. I think our application process took almost 6 months, and I think a couple of months for your visa, and then to finally move to the US to study. And
Yeah.
yes, if you have any question related to studying in the US for free, or just waiting to study in the US, if US is your preferred study destination, please subscribe to our channel, stalk her on Facebook, stalk her on Instagram, follow her so that you can learn how to study in the US for free. And if you want to study in the UK, you can subscribe to Pathway to UK and then follow Pathway to UK on Instagram and on Facebook. I'll leave the links to our social media platform and our YouTube channel so you can go check out. She has very insightful videos on how she got to study in the US for free. I didn't even know you can even study in the US for free.
Yes, we
So,
can.
like, I didn't know you don't really need GRA, GMAT. Like, this conversation was eye opening.
We can.
I didn't know you can do that. But anyway, guys, I hope this video serves as a blessing to one person out there and to make you realize that there are opportunities out there. All you need to do is go for it. All you need to do is dream it, be passionate about it, and go for it. And I'm sure you will get what you're looking for. So, guys, with this, we come to the end of today's video. Do not forget to share this video with someone you think will find it helpful. Now, if you go to Esther's channel, please comment one day sent me here or part with you. I know you came from this place.
Comment. Oh.
Bye for now, and yeah, we'll see you in our channel or here, because we have lots and lots of exciting videos lined up for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.